You could be larger than life.
Well, hello. Welcome to Live Life Driven Podcast. Thanks for tuning in. You know, I've done, this will be my fourth one now. My first one I did solo. The other two I did with my buddy Justin Farrington, or we call him Froggy in the neighborhood. And, you know, I'm not sure if today is more about me or if it's more about you, the listener, because I've been trying to get motivated to do this podcast. Justin is back to work out of town, providing for his family. Justin, you're doing the Lord's work out there, buddy. Thank you for what you do. You know, it's tough to get motivated with everything going on, and I am a motivator, and I live a life of optimism and excitement, and I've really done some of the biggest deals of my life in the last 30 days with some of my clients. So I don't know what my deal is with constant motivation, and I just thought, well, I need to get on the show and record something. And by the way, I am doing a podcast interview today with the real Brad Lay. And if you haven't listened to his stuff, you need to go on his Instagram, the real R-E-A-L B-R-A-D-L-E-A. He is on fire. I listened to about 40 of his clips today. I've been following him for a while, but I re-listened just to kind of get an update. And I am so pumped now, hence doing the podcast. So what am I going to talk about today? As you know, Live Life Driven is just snippets. The goal is to provide some insight to you, maybe things that I've learned in the last week or things that I'm doing to maybe help you out to live your own life driven. And like I said, maybe this is more about me than it is for you today because I have, well, first of all, I've wavered on my workout routine. I'm going to admit that right now. I've not done a run in almost, well, it'll be 2 weeks on Sunday, which is a really rare for me. So I need to get my act together. I need to rewrite my physical goals down and maybe use this as an opportunity, if you don't have physical goals, to write yours down. And, you know, I left off, I could get out there and do 10 miles. I don't want to say it was easy, but, you know, without hesitation. And now I've had 2 weeks off, and my mind's telling me, oh, my God, you can't do that. You can't do that. But my body can, and I know I can, and if I get past myself, I will be able to go out there and get my running back on and get my physical strength back in and get back into Spartan strength that I had not too long ago. So for me, that's where my motivation needs to be focused at, is a new energy towards my physical health and fitness and get back on top of my game. So I am pointing out one of my own weaknesses right now. So the value that I'm hoping to bring to you today from a business and or marketing perspective is I keep a list, and I always talk about my yellow pad of my list of things to do the next day. Well, I've got this thick yellow pad, and somewhere in the middle of this big pad, I've got a list of, well, there's statements I've been listening to the last 30, 45 days during COVID and what I've heard other people say. And I thought, you know what, I'm just going to go down the list, read it off to the listeners and explain maybe what that means to me, or maybe just let it hang right there because some of them speak for themselves. So let me read the list off, maybe take some notes, maybe re-listen to this if you need to, and we'll close after I'm done with the list. So first and foremost, and by the way, I didn't write down who said this. I've just been, you know, scanning the internet and listening to great speakers like Les Brown and David Meltzer and all these other greats, Brad, I just brought up. So these are things that I picked up in the last 45 days. So first one, focus on what you want, not what you don't. And I think it's so easy to get in those habits of focusing on the things, like I just said, you know, my mind is taking over my body. Like, oh, you can't run, you can't go do the 10 miles. Well, what I want is to go out there and do the 10 miles. So I need to wake up and focus on what I want. I want physical strength and energy to come back to me. And I need to think about that first thing when I wake up every morning and know that at some part of my day it's going to include some physical fitness. And focusing on what I want my health back. And I had that shoulder rotator cuff surgery back in November, and I feel like I've not gotten 100% there. But yet the doctor says, you are there. You can lift the weight. You can do these things. I was doing pull-ups last month thinking, oh, I'm still recovering, but yet I'm doing pull-ups. So focus on what you want, not what you don't. Point number 2, become indifferent to what might seem good or bad, meaning be who you are. Don't let other people dictate what you think is good or bad. Be who you are and determine what you feel is good or bad. So for me, a life of health, a life with time with my kids, To me, that's good. Some might say, well, you're spending so much time with your kids. It's bad because you're not making any money. Well, I'm making all kinds of money, people. I'm focused on what's good, and what's happening is good is coming back to me. So don't let people tell you what's good or bad. Become indifferent to their thoughts and focus on your own thoughts, your own self-awareness. I love this one for what's happening in COVID. The economy works by people making transactions. And what's funny about that, I talk to some of my life coaching clients and like, oh, I'm suffering, I'm this and that. But yet they're on the internet buying Amazon and all kinds of stuff. I mean, hell, I've got an Amazon UPS package showing up my door every day. That's because the economy works by people making transactions. I'm trying to contribute. I am at home working, making money, and I'm contributing back to society. What that means in a bigger picture is that there are businesses out there that are making money. People are spending money. People are making money. If you are one of those affected in your home without work, there's work out there. Find it. Rediscover who you are. Discover what some of your talents are and get after it. I just posted last week on my LinkedIn page looking for people that could help me write a business plan. Now I know how to write a business plan, but I know if somebody else did it for me, I'd get it done quicker. And I had somebody reach back and, wow, they had it done in 2 days. Now, that's not what they did, but they were finding ways to make money and to have a transaction. So the economy works by people making transactions. Don't forget that. That means people are spending money, and that means you can make money. Find what it is that you're good at. Now, this is for people that have businesses, or maybe you're in the business of marketing. Do not stop marketing. People have to change the message, but don't stop marketing. I've been on, well, you can look, if you got an iPhone, you can see how long you've spent on the phone looking at marketing messages, from people and internet time, Facebook time, texting time, all those things. Don't stop marketing. People are still listening and reading the messages. Some of my clients that have retail products that have dramatically slowed down right now because of COVID, which is understandable. They want to slow down everything. Well, look, folks, keep marketing. Send out positive messages. Be a resource. Be a source of energy, if nothing else. Post something funny. That will resonate. Your message will resonate with people. And when we come out of this, they're going to remember some of those brands that kept talking to them when they were down and out. Whatever that message is, focus on it. If you got to change it, then change the message. Message maybe on how to help and serve customers. I was working with a client, Tavi Tequila. They put out a program where they're helping first responders. Actually, I shouldn't say first responders, healthcare workers. And they've been giving away special gifts to healthcare workers. So, maybe for them, it was how they can help and serve customers. Be more proactive. Now's a great time to not only be proactive, but be productive. We've got more time right now than ever to get things done. There's probably no greater time in the history of this planet when you're at home, so is everybody else. You could reach out to people on the internet and network and sell and make connections or learn or find out things that you wanted to find out. I mentioned Brad, who I'm interviewing today. I hit him up on Instagram. I just reached out and said, hey, I love your message. Will you be on my podcast? I don't know Brad. Brad doesn't know me. He's got 288,000 followers. I imagine he gets a lot of messages every day. But guess what? He's home doing the same thing I am. We're mining, looking for opportunities, and here I am interviewing today and bringing more wealth to what I'm doing. So be more productive. Use time to create and work on back burner projects. Now, I could read this twice because there are some things that I wanted to get done. By the way, that business plan was one of those things I wanted to get done, and I'm saying use time to create. Well, I didn't create, but I did create a way to get it done. I will say that I've had on my list of to-dos to start writing a book for at least a year, maybe more now, and I've yet to start that. So I should be listening to my own advice on this one, work on back burner projects, because that's been on the back burner for a long time. Opportunity, study and learn. This is a great time to study and learn, pick up a book. I did Andy Frisella's 75 Hard program at the beginning of the year. I made it 30 days. In my mind, I decided I wanted to switch back to my Spartan training and get off the 75 Hard. But one of the benefits that I got out of that was read 10 pages a day. And when you start the program, it's like, well, this can't be that hard, 10 pages a day. But what I realized, it wasn't about how easy or hard it was. It was about the value that it brought me in the study factor. I'm putting in good content into my brain, and I'm learning. I found myself reading 20 pages, not just 10, and then finishing the book and going, okay, what's the next book that I want to read? And my buddy Justin, who we talk about on the show here, he did the same thing. He'd come to me every few days like, I need another book. Wow, you're burning through a lot of books. So study and learn. Next point, be grateful and get your mind right. This is a perfect time to focus on yourself and look around and see all the things that you're grateful for. I have learned living in Montana how great our lives are and how many things that are wonderful if we take time to look around. We definitely slowed down when we moved up to Montana from the West Coast, Southern California. If you've been there, if you live there, you know how fast things move. And literally, my wife and I are getting up in the morning, looking out the windows and watching the grass grow because it's turning from that brown winter dead grass to green grass. We bought a lawnmower yesterday, or they call them lawn tractors up here. And we're just grateful for what we have and the place that we live. So as simple as watching the grass turn from brown to green has become something that we're really grateful for and enjoying where we're at and what we're doing. Next point, face and rise. And what that means is face your challenges and rise to the equation. I think that came from Les Brown. And he also said power over fear. Power over fear. We have the power to overcome the fear of COVID. We're surviving out here. People are living and doing and enjoying. And people that find that power, they'll get a lot more strength out of that than the fear. So get out of the fear zone if that's where you're at. I was supposed to be on a show yesterday, and it was canceled last minute. The host was fearful, and I really felt bad, and I sent some encouraging words over in a show that I listened to that got me out of that fear zone. And it's just not a place for us to be. That there's a lot to be fearful of, but we can overcome that with our own power. So focus on that. A way to re-kick or restart, cancel the bad, clear your head out, and correct, and get in the right direction. Think about your self-awareness, who you are. Next point, you cannot be of a sound mind when you're running scared. That's also a Les Brown. So let's focus on not running, not being fearful, and be of sound mind instead of running. And you'll find that with that, you have a lot more power for yourself if you can focus on it. We all have the power to rise up against anything. Well, that's certainly true. I mean, look at your history books and see all the things that we've accomplished in the world, the history of the world. But, even the small things. I've got a friend in Southern California. Her husband is going through chemotherapy for the third or fourth time, and my heart just bleeds for her and her husband and what they're going through. But they are rising up against that, and the neighbors and the friends are showing up and supporting, and the food's showing up, and all these great things are showing up because they're rising up against this deadly disease. And I can see the happiness and the strength of the family. And to me, that's just the ultimate thing that a family can go through. I lost my dad to cancer. And, to be honest with you, I lost my dad to cancer. And in all the years I'd lived before that, my relationship with my dad had been the strongest in the last couple years of his life through the challenges of that cancer. And I'm not really sure I would have had the same thing had the story been differently. And we had the ability to rise above our differences, enjoy our time together. We took a memorable vacation for a week. And, it just shows me the strength that we can have when we have to rise up against something. So now's the time we can rise up against what we're going through. Get unstuck is the next point. If you're stuck on something, get unstuck, change. Don't do the same thing over and over again. We've all heard, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again. Oftentimes I find myself going, around the bases again, doing the same thing. Okay, this is not working. Why are we still doing this? Change the direction. Re-look at yourself, reevaluate, and go back to that self-awareness, who you are and what's really important to you, and get unstuck. You will get through this. Bolster your confidence. I think that's another Les Brown quote. And, he's right. We're all getting through this. We're in the state of Montana, as I mentioned. We are opening the state back up as early as, it's 24th, 28th. The 28th of the month, we're going to be opening the state back up. I saw even the barbershops were starting to make appointments for when things open up. So we will get through this, bolster your confidence, and have a plan when you come out of this. It's interesting. I have a certain level of guilt right now, which I need to get past. Again, another one of my faults today that I'm confessing of is I feel like, gosh, I could have did more while we were in confinement here. Now the state's opening back up, and am I ahead of the curve? Because I always want to be ahead. And, I've done a lot. I've built a lot of business.